Welcome to Bringing Back the Wild. In each episode, Mike Arnold explores how science, tradition, and hands-on conservation come together to protect the wild places and wildlife we care about. Your host, Mike Arnold, is a professor of genetics, a lifelong hunter, and a conservation biologist. Mike dives into the science and stories behind bringing wildlife species back and keeping the wild places wild. Sponsors of Bringing Back the Wild are Dallas Safari Club, conserving wildlife, engaging the public, ensuring the future. Life-Form Taxidermy, guardian of the hunter's dreams. Zambezi Delta Safaris, protecting wildlife, empowering communities, and defining adventure. Royal Outfitters UK, tradition in the field and excellence in the hunt. Choctaw Hunting Lodge, native land, exceptional wildlife, unforgettable hunts. Now here's your host, Mike Arnold.
Welcome everybody back to Bringing Back the Wild. Today we have a wonderful friend of mine, Cecil Corringham. And Cecil I've known for as long as I've known Mark Haldane, but that's not Cecil's problem. Cecil, thank you and welcome to the show.
Oh, you're welcome, Mike. I'm honored to be here, my friend.
Well,
thank you very
thank
much.
you so much. What I'd like our listeners to hear is, how did you get into hunting? And who got you into hunting? Who helped you learn how to hunt? That sort of thing.
To cut a long story short, I was brought up in an orphanage. And occasionally my friends would take me out on weekends, and you were allowed to do that. And they had farms. And so I would go to them and we'd spend a weekend out in the mountains hunting pigeon, rabbit, those kind of things. And I fell in love with that. And then as I got into high school, I was accepted to go do a survival course in Infolozi Game Reserve in Northern Natal by the renowned conservationist Dr. Ian Player. I did that and I fell totally in love with the bush, with hunting, and got into it, and it was my favorite thing to do. But that was it, really. I would go and do the odd hunt, didn't do a lot of it. And then a friend of mine was in the taxidermy business, and he was about to leave, and he said to me, "Don't you want to come and join?" So I went and I joined him, and he left. And I worked for this taxidermist for a good number of years until he retired, and he wanted to sell the business to me, and I took it over and I just grew it into what it is today. And I've been doing this for many years.
Did you start out in the same place where Life-Form Taxidermy is
Yes,
now?
I did. It's just way bigger than it was then. It was tiny. There was only a few of us. And then we just grew. Over time, the harder we worked, the more people who came to us, the more support we had, the more museums we did, building relationships with Mark, with you, with all the people that I know, just in their own way, were like angels and just helped me grow it to where it's at.
Let me take a step back. What was your first game animal? Was it pigeons?
It was pigeons, definitely. Ramaroons, sock pigeons. I used to shoot them with a .22 or .22, you would say. Yeah, no shotguns. So all the farms in South Africa would normally they would have shotguns, but as with the youngsters, you'd be lent a .22. That was your first rifle that you would learn to use. And it was perfect for me just to have the opportunity to go out into the bush and hunt and stay the night and make a fire and pluck the bird and eat it. And it would have to taste delicious because I was hungry. You know what I mean? So I learned all those little skills out in the bush, learned to become independent and rely on myself, learned to listen to the way nature talks to people. And found comfort in that, a safe place. I feel way more safe in the bush than I do in the cities. And of course, I love wildlife. It just feels more normal and real to me to be out there than it would be, for example, if I was sitting in an office. I suppose I've just been fortunate.
Where do you hunt mostly? Is it in Africa?
The last hunt I did was in Kamchatka. That's the northeastern peninsula of Russia. I really loved it. It was in the Arctic Circle. And then time passes and work takes over a bit and you get involved with other projects. And so I haven't hunted since then. I could. I share a game farm in Mozambique. I have many good friends with game farms. They always invite me to hunt. It's just to find the time to get out there and do a bit of hunting again.
We went to the one you're referring to, Mozambique.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful place. And we hunted hyena there, that you probably know, and a crocodile in the lake, close by a lake. But what a beautiful area. So, yeah, I'd encourage you to go hunt on your property.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Good point.
Let's move back to the taxidermy story, because this is fascinating. Are you self-taught? Taxidermy is world-class.
Thank you.
But y'all do beautiful work. What do you like doing with taxidermy? What is your favorite? Or
to be honest with you, when I was younger, I used to do metal sculpturing. I always had an arty side to me. I used to rehabilitate raptors, and I used to hunt rabbit during the evenings and guinea fowl during the day to feed them. They were all injured birds, and I was passionate about that. So when you get into the animal life and you're passionate and you want to do the very best you can, you start to pay attention. You know what I mean? You start to look at animals in a different way, and it's not just an animal. You look at the way they walk, the hooves, you look at their eyes, you look at their build, the shape, the silhouette, to a point where you can look out on the horizon and say, there goes a good kudu, or there goes a young kudu, or there goes a bushbuck. And I think you start to focus. It's like when you get into birding, and the bird's always around you. But when you get into birding, all of a sudden you see a lot more birds because now you focus. So for me, because I could do all sorts of structural welding, really skilled in a number of fields, it was very easy for me to get into. So much so that it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I excelled at it. And whether it was accidental or what I had learned in my life skills, I succeeded very quickly.
And how many staff do you have at Life-Form now?
At the moment, we have about 115. Yeah.
What kind of taxidermy do you do? Do you do museums? Do you do only individuals?
Mike, I do all of it, but I really do. From the beginner, one impala is just as important to me. I understand the amount of time he's spent getting ready for the project, the money he saved to come out there and to have the experience. I understand hunting's not just about harvesting an animal. I understand that hunting's about the whole experience. I think being out in the bush is like being in the big church. It's like, this is God's creation. It's perfect. It's honest, incredibly honest. So you see some, what we would say, vicious stuff out there. We're just talking about a hyena. We know hyenas, we know wild dogs, we know all the cats. And from cats to raptors to crocodiles. So I do all of it. I do museums, natural history museums. I've probably done 50. I'm still busy with museums around the world. They're ongoing. I do private projects. Everybody's important to us, and we do our very best. We've got a passionate staff. We really do. I have some great friends and great partners that I can turn to if I get stuck with ideas, or to be able to just work with them and come up with amazing ideas. But the clients generally know a lot of what they want. And to work closely with them and to build that friendship, that bond with them, that at the end of the day, a lot of my clients are my friends. And they come and they sit with me. And the taxidermy is important, but it's also just to come and chew the fat. You know what I mean?
Wildlife conservation lives or dies on education. And Dallas Safari Club understands that better than most. DSC invests heavily in outreach that introduces shooting sports and science-based wildlife management to new and growing audiences. They focus on building informed future sportsmen, sportswomen, and conservationists who understand why sustainable use works. Through year-round education programs and major fundraising events like their annual convention and summer expo, DSC generates millions of dollars for conservation grants worldwide. They don't just fund projects, they fund understanding. That commitment helps ensure future generations value wildlife, respect habitat, and support regulated hunting as a conservation tool. This is legacy building. Dallas Safari Club proves conservation works best when education leads the way. Visit biggame.org and stand with those protecting wildlife through knowledge and action. So, talk to us about some of the projects you're doing in the areas of conservation and community outreach.
This is another passion of mine, to be honest with you. I support the anti-poaching units because I think it's important, and I don't think they get enough support elsewhere. What I do is every year I give them a budget. They understand their needs and they can request whatever they want, whether it's overalls, backpacks, boots, raincoats, anything they need, they can ask me for, and I will facilitate that. I have the depot in Mozambique, and I'll get that through to them wherever they may need it. So, yes, I love doing that part of it. I do it because I enjoy what my friends do, and I enjoy what they're doing for the animals. With regards to the wheelchairs and the other things, I work with a very dear friend of mine, Charlie Butterfield. She's an American, and she brings in wheelchairs from China, and then we will go and do projects together. It's mostly in South Africa. We're going to do a project in Kenya this year, and we're going to do a big project in Mozambique this year, probably bringing around roughly about 500 wheelchairs.
Explain to us what the wheelchairs are for. Who are your target folks?
It's mostly rural communities, especially in Mozambique, where there was a great demand after the Civil War. Anyone who's got a special needs child to get around, it's very difficult. So what we would do is we would go out there, we would find somebody who needs them, go out into the communities. We'd use the likes of outfitters that are working there. We'd give them wheelchairs to support their own community because they would understand what's needed on the ground. All we ask for is photographs so we can take them back to Charlie, who would show the people who've been kind enough to donate towards it and may even come and join us on the visit. And I really enjoyed doing that. I've done it in a few other places, but as I say, this year we're looking at South Africa, Mozambique, and Kenya.
For those kinds of projects, I can imagine you use someone like Mark or someone like that for contacts. But how do you end up with those contacts in Kenya?
I do have friends that run a big rhino sanctuary, and I'm very close to one of the people that run it. And it just came up as an idea. We try and expose ourselves to as many people that would require our help. And if people come forward and they say this community needs or that community needs, it doesn't matter where it comes from. We will make the effort to go there. So, for example, in my area, there's a young lady who has a foundation called Warriors on Wheels. She's got a special needs son. So that made her get into doing this. She gets a little sponsorship. She goes out into the communities on her own with a little help, and to people where you need a 4x4 vehicle to go and help them. And she does this in her own time. And so when you make contact with these kind of angels, as I like to see them, you have to go out of your way to support them because they're incredibly amazing people. And I think sometimes we lose sight of it, that there are incredibly special people around doing amazing things. The world can be tough, but there's some super amazing things going on. And I think that's where we need to focus. And I'm blessed in the sense that being in the hunting industry, having so many American friends and others who come to me just allows me to be a little bit more kinder towards many communities.
So the hunting community has allowed you financially to be
Yes.
able to do this as well.
Here's the truth. We need hunters in Africa. It's as simple as that, Mike. We need hunters in Mozambique. Without the hunters, you would need a super wealthy sponsor to look after an area. The hunters, in my humble opinion, are the greatest conservationists. They really are. We've seen many areas that no longer do hunting. They fell to corruption, to poaching. The population, the animal population has decreased dramatically. The people who relied on those hunters, those communities, have fallen deeply into poverty and eventually may even become poachers themselves in order to sustain the lives they had. So hunting is a big part. I am so grateful to the American people for coming to Africa to hunt. We need you more than you realize. And that's the God's honest truth.
I tell you, when Africa gets into your blood, It's just something different. The animals, of course, are all
And
unicorns to us.
Mike, I can't tell you what it is, but I think it's the raw honesty of it.
Mm.
There's no makeup. You know what I mean? You face a certain truth about yourself when you're on a hunt. You face a certain truth about yourself when you take a life. You're not walking down to the local butchery or your supermarket and then lying on the couch and bitching about hunters hunting and doing all of this. Hunters are the true conservationists, where they come and put some money in, they take very little, they do very little damage, and they contribute so much more. The community benefits, the families of the communities benefit. It's just this ongoing thing. And animals benefit tremendously because it stops the poaching, it stops them bringing in the cattle. It's just so many aspects of it. We could talk for hours about this, really and truly.
I was taught by Africans, South Africans, Mozambicans, Namibians, Cameroonians, all of these taught me that there was two kinds of poaching that were devastating. Obviously poaching for protein, but then also wood poaching. And when the wood poaching comes through, in a lot of ways, it's even more devastating because you lose your habitats.
Absolutely.
That's it. It's gone. Charcoal out of it or whatever. The people are not being mean. They're not being greedy, really.
No, I agree with you.
I want to ask you vision for Life-Form. Is there something that you would like to do that you're not doing? Is it, I want to have 500 employees in 2 years? Do you have other things you want to do?
No, Life-Form is a really big taxidermy. You've got to look after a lot of souls when you run a business like this. And you've got to look after a lot of good clients. And without those clients, you can't look after the souls. And by the way, in Africa, they have all these extended families leaning on one guy that has a job because the unemployment rate is so high. And so that job for that guy is important. I'd love to improve our quality, our service. There's always room for all of that.
I guess so. I'm really not blowing smoke up your skirt. The kind of quality I've seen coming out of y'all's place over the years is really consistently excellent. Exceptional whitetails don't happen by accident. The Choctaw Wildlife Team monitors the herd through aerial and ground surveys, manages ratios, removes undesirables, and fuels genetics with responsible supplemental feeding. The results walk past your stand.
So we branched out into a furniture factory. We create more options for our clients. So if they come out and they've got a zebra skin, we can turn it into a chaise lounge or dining room table or chairs or whatever they want. We use African wood, legally harvested, and we can do any of that for you. Building a bigger is a double-edged sword because you can't let your clients down. Everyone is important. If you have too many clients, they wait too long, then they're not happy with you. They don't dislike you, but they'd rather have their trophies back quicker. You've got to keep this incredible balance between making sure you got your quality, your clients are happy, and if there's an issue, they understand, they like to be communicated with. These are all things that we can learn to fine-tune and bring better service to any company. And those are things I'll probably focus on quite a lot.
If you were going to go into the studio yourself and do taxidermy work, what would it be?
I love to do museum pieces. I like to do combinations, real life looking pieces. Say 5 lions feeding off a buffalo carcass. I love that dynamic stuff because I do quite a lot of it. And to make it look a little gory, if you want it to be more lifelike and realistic, to have leopards jumping out and attacking an impala, I prefer to do all of that. For me, it's just a lot more fun.
So where do you do your museum pieces for? What countries?
At the moment, I'm working on China. I've done a bit in Russia. I'm working on projects for Pakistan. Anywhere where people phone us from, even contributing to Mozambique's natural history. It's all natural history museum, and we only do the African animal side of it. I have a non-profit organization as well. So I inherited a lot of skins from the Bering Foundation.
Oh.
So what we do for museums, for educational facilities, whatever, if they contact us, we will donate the skins. And that could be from antelope right through to cats of various types. They donated a lot of skins to us. We would supply those for free. That means we have them in stock. We have the permits to export them, and we would give them for free. Obviously, whoever needs them would pay for the taxidermy, but we make those donations to any educational institution. And that's a big score. Some museums are quite old, and they really could do with a little bit of a helping hand, so to speak. Not only are museums educational, it's a place for the single mom to take their children to educate them on a rainy day or in the cold of winter. Do you know what I mean? To walk around while the husband's away, where they've been locked up. They say, let's go to the museum, and they can talk about the animals. And to be part of that, to be part of an anti-poaching story that's being told, leave our rhinos alone. You know what I mean? Sit on a stage in China and talk to a couple of thousand kids, school kids, and say, this is why we need our rhinos. This is why we have to conserve them. All of these aspects of being a taxidermist or being someone who cares enough about animals. I have many aspects that I get into and I really enjoy.
Besides the wheelchair work and donations and the anti-poaching, are there other things that you're working with?
You have the odd occasion where someone would come in and ask you for offcuts of skins. We have a group of elderly ladies that make little drums out of skins. Our offcuts, which we have to dump, but they've been tanned, so we give them to them. They make little drums, and then they sell them to tourists. So they're perfectly safe, and it brings a little bit of income to their families, and they come and they collect it from us, and they go and do these things. Besides the wheelchairs, we make donations towards our SPCA because I came from one orphanages. I have a soft spot for them.
So let's talk about your view on conservation and how it is through hunting in South Africa specifically.
True conservation comes from the heart. There comes an understanding that if this is going to be around for my children's children, I've got to participate in the preservation of it. It's quite simple, really. With all the hunting that the South Africans do, and South Africans do hunt, they do not bring anywhere near the amount of money that is needed in conservation. I don't know of any government, certainly in Africa, that donates huge amounts of money to conservation. I know they contribute, but nothing like the hunter. I think if there was a message that we could put out there, you have no idea how desperate we need you. And we're very grateful. But we need you more than you realize. And if it wasn't for you guys and other hunters, we'd be lost.
But that's the positive side of that. Numbers of songbirds, of insects, of reptiles are through the roof because of conservation through hunting in South Africa. If it wasn't for the huge industry y'all have developed it. You South Africans are the cause for this. Yes. Okay. Your international hunters come in and we put in a good bit of money, but it still has to have boots on the ground, people that are committed to game animals instead of more sheep or something.
Hunting is ingrained in South Africans. And to be fair, I think hunting's more ingrained in the Afrikaans community. We don't give them enough credit. Beautiful, brilliant people, in my mind. I think we get special people who take over areas like our common friend Mark, who have changed a massive area into probably a leader in conservation in Mozambique, with a number of my other friends who all done exceptionally well. And without a lot of government help or NGO help, I worry about what happens when they go. What happens when you and I go? Who are we leaving the legacy to? It takes a bit of cojones to push through the tough times, to be able to negotiate with governments, to be able to win for the animals, for the communities, bypass the greed, contribute. Who's going to be left behind to do it? That's a deep concern for me going forward.
It is a concern, but I've talked at the Dallas Safari Club convention, by the way, that's where we are. I've been talking to outfitters and listening to them talk about their own children or people who are working with them,
Yeah.
who are professional hunters, younger, who are passionate about this too. It gives me hope.
Hope too.
I'm seeing young people picking up the mantle. I'm seeing this, and I think there actually is legacy transfer going on now, watching these young folks take over. I think that it is dependent on communicating this idea to the young people, the native South Africans of all ilks, but also that the government continues to see a real financial input. If it pays, it stays. So I think the government has to keep saying, okay, yes, the local community is putting pressure on this, but if we lose this, we're going to lose however many South African units of
Absolutely, 100%. Back to you guys coming to us because you do the pain to keep it staying. You know what I mean? And if you guys stop coming, who's going to come? You know what I mean? So it goes back to that. And yes, you're 100% right. I think that if I could say anything to the American people, and I'm sure they listen to us, is come to South Africa, come to Mozambique, come to the SADC regions, come to Africa, come experience it. Believe you me, you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And you'll probably want to come back over and over again. But also come knowing in your heart of hearts, you're contributing truly to conservation. We need you. And your contribution is incredibly important. Yeah, so I'm incredibly grateful. I love my American friends. I love my outfitters. I love all those who contribute towards this, and very grateful to them. Out the youth start to understand how it really works. You're not a conservationist when you sit on the couch and bitch about people hunting, but you donate nothing. You know what I mean? I don't need people like that. I need people who want to give, who want to contribute, who want to support, who care enough about nature, about wildlife, and the rest of it. I'm going to let you go back to your booth. This is the first podcast I've ever done. You've been amazing, Francis. You've been amazing. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the American people and those who come and hunt. We appreciate you guys. You don't know how much you contribute. We love you dearly, and God bless you. And God bless America.
Thanks for listening to Bringing Back the Wild. For more stories from the field, conservation-driven articles, and Mike's books, visit MikeArnoldOutdoors.com. Until next time, keep bringing back the wild.